Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to Feed My Flock Church. I'm Brother Sean. This is Brother Ron. He's going to be reading the law. And then my reader for today is going to be Brother Des. This is a holy day where we dedicate our temple. And it's a special day because these brothers in Maccabees did something that people wouldn't think they would be able to do. It was just a few enough. They were few in number, but they stood for the Most High. They stood up for the Most High and His law. So today's lesson is going to be what the Greeks done to the temple. But we're going to start with the reading of the law, Exodus chapter 20. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
All right, brother.
You right?
We're in Exodus chapter 20. We're going to be reading the commandments.
Starting off with Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. And the Most High spake all these words, saying, I am the Most High thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other powers before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Most High thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Most High thy power in vain, for the Most High will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thy labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath day of the Most High thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy maidservant, nor thy manservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Most High made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Most High blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Amen.
All praises.
Man, thank you, brother.
You're welcome, brother.
Man, thank you, sir.
You can go ahead.
You good?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Thank you for joining us today. This is a real blessing. You know, we're pretty deep today. I hope this lesson is a benefit to you. You're going to hear us say things that you probably never heard before. If you hear us when we speak, if you hear us say Yeshua, we're talking about Jesus. If you hear us say Ahaya, we're talking about God. I am that I am. That's in the Hebrew. So Yeshua is in the Hebrew, and I am that I am. If you're reading and you hear us say power, we'll say power instead of God, or we'll say the Most High. So we're not speaking anything foreign to you. So welcome, and we're going to get it started. The title of today's lesson is Feast of Dedication, How the Greeks Defiled the Temple of God. Over the past few weeks, we've been going over cleaning up our temple and how we've been defiling our temple. Well, today's lesson, we're gonna get into what the Greeks did to the Most High's temple and how they defiled the Most High's temple. And you're going to see throughout the lesson a correlation between our temple and the Most High's temple. So we're going to go into the Apocrypha, KJV, because most of this story is in the Apocrypha. This happened during the Greek captivity. So we're going to go to 1 Maccabees, chapter 1.
I'm gonna read from here.
Yeah. Good.
All right. First Maccabees, chapter 1, verses 1 through 12. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries, and nations, and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. And so did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them all well.
Okay. So in verse 11, it says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have much sorrow. So we're going to go to the law and show you where they automatically broke the law. Okay? Let's go to Exodus chapter 34. And we're going to start at verse 12 through 15. We're going to go through verse 15.
The book of Exodus, chapter 34, 12 through 15. All right, when you there, say con.
Okay.
The book of Exodus, chapter 34, verses 12 through 15. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Most High, whose name is jealous, is a jealous power. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice.
So right there, they threw away God's covenant. And they went and made a covenant with the nations round about them, which was the Grecians. Okay? What happened to the Native Americans when they made covenants with the Romans? Yes, I said Romans. They lost everything and ended up on reservations. It's what happens when you make a covenant, when the children of Israel makes covenants with the other nations. We end up losing everything. They were in a bad case. The Most High put them in a bad case. And they decided to go join the heathen, the Grecians. But now we're going to see how bad it's really going to get. We're going to go back to 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, and we're going to pick up in verse 13.
The book of Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 13. And there's a con. The book of Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 13 through 45. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
All right, remember that, right? Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. We're going to get into that a little later. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of two realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and with elephants and with horsemen and with a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Verse 19. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
Okay, so yes, you see, as we're going through this, they went in there and start stealing the Most High's instruments. Go ahead.
Verse 23. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was a great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were, so that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, and who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them. But all was deceit, for when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel.
So does that sound familiar, right? It says, and speak peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people. Very familiar. That's how they came to the Native Americans. They spoke peaceful words to them. That's how they come to us. They spoke peaceful words to us. We could, just join us. Help us out. And the next thing you know, slaughter. And they're stealing. All right? Next verse.
Verse 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle. Then builded the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. They stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there. And so they became a sore snare. for it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary and an evil adversary to Israel. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them. Whereupon the city was made an inhabitation of strangers and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
Okay. So he says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Everybody should be one people. We're a nation gathered together under one people, being one people, one ideology. It doesn't change from empire to empire, all the way to this present empire. It's the same. They want you to leave your nationality and join theirs. Go ahead.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath day. As we go through this lesson, you're going to see how it doesn't change. From the Greeks to the Romans, it's all the same, always the same plan. If we get you out the law, we can destroy you. Go ahead.
Verse 44. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
Verse 44, for the king had sent letters by messenger unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and the festival days. So we've been taught that the Sabbath is no longer important, or it's not on Saturday. We've been taught that, oh, there's a new Sabbath. It's Sunday. But this is what these nations do to get us off schedule, off course with the Most High, right? Oh, you don't have to celebrate the feast days, right? Let's go to the New Testament. 1 Corinthians chapter 5. Verse 7 and 8.
First Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7 and 8. Everybody there say con? 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 7 and 8. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore, let us keep the feast not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
Okay, so now you're seeing where Paul is telling us, keep the feast, keep the holy day, right? But not with that old sin that you came in here with. Get rid of that sin. Get rid of that leaven. Come as a new lump under Christ. So purge out that leaven. Have to That's why we have to rebuild our temple. That's why we got to clean our temple. This is where it starts. On the Sabbath day, cleaning that temple, getting that old sin up out of us. Whatever we're working on, we got to get it up out of us, so we can be a new lump. Paul said, keep the feast. And they did keep the feast, as well as the other feast days. Pentecost. How did they know to be in one spot to receive the Holy Spirit? Because the commandment told them they needed to be in one place, all together, gathered together for Pentecost. First fruits. They were told to be in a certain place so they could receive the Holy Spirit. That's what Christ promised them. The Feast of Dedication, they attended the Feast of Dedication. Christ attended the Feast of Dedication. But the other nations want to tell us we don't have to do the holy days. The other nations tell us that we can worship on Sunday because the law wasn't given to them. They don't understand the importance. They don't understand the importance of it. Let's go back to 1 Maccabees 1:46.
First Maccabees 1:46. You dare say con? First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 46. And pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Yeah.
So they polluted the sanctuary and the holy people. Now they do it through deceit. They have polluted the holy sanctuary. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16 and 17.
First Corinthians chapter 3, verses 16 and 17. First Corinthians chapter 3, verses 16 through 17. Know ye not that ye are the temple of the Most High, and that the Spirit of the Most High dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of the Most High, him shall the Most High destroy. For the temple of the Most High is holy, which temple ye are.
So we are the temple. They're teaching us, they've been teaching us to destroy our own temple through deceit, using the Most High's scripture, the Most High's word, through deceit. Just like Satan when he came to Christ on the mount. He used scripture to try to deceive Christ and go against God's law. Let's go back to First Maccabees, chapter 1. And we're going to pick up at verse 47.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 47 through 64.
Stop at 49.
49. Yeah. You there, say Con? All right. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 47 through 49. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. Verse 49, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
Okay. They set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all their ordinances. What they tell you? Everything God made is good. We can eat it as long as we're eating it with thanksgiving. Just pray over it. This is God's temple that they're defiling. This is God's temple that they brought some swine in there and they sacrificed the swine in God's temple on the altar. And remember what we just read. We are now the temple. But what they do, they will find a couple scriptures and roll with it. See, God right there made everything clean. Ain't nothing to be refused. No. If you go back and you watch the previous videos about the unclean, you will see what he's talking about. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. And you go all the way down there to the animals. Every animal that he created, he said what? It was good. But then in Leviticus chapter 11, he tells you not to eat certain animals. So how is it good in Genesis, in the creation? In Leviticus, he says what? It's not good to eat. So now you take what he's saying when he says all things are good, if it's to be received for Thanksgiving, now you got to put it in the right context. You got to go back to the law to figure out what's good to eat, what he told you to eat, and what he tells you not to eat. Okay? Let's go.
Verse 50. Whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, every one that forsook the law. And so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor. Now, the 15th day of the month, Calislu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded an idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side, and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the book of the law, which they found, they burnt them with fire.
Right now, people are burning the book of the law with their mouths by saying that the Old Testament, that we're not under the Old Testament, we're not under the law. We're under the new covenant. But if you read in Hebrews, he said, I will make a new covenant. And what do you say he's going to do with that law? Write it in our minds. That's the new covenant. Didn't abolish the law, didn't get rid of the law. Go ahead.
Verse 57. And whosoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
So why was it so important? Why was it so important for them to put these people to death for keeping the law? You already conquered them. So why was it so important? So if the law is not important, why put these people to death? Go ahead.
Verse 58. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of the Most High. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. And they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
So now you have people forsaking the king's law. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 63. Wherefore the rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. And there was very great wrath upon Israel.
That's how important it is. You have to, if you don't stand up for the Most High's law, and you defile your temple, we just read it in Corinthians, he will destroy you. So they knew. And we'll read it here in a few minutes. Now we're going to go to 2 Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 1 and 2.
Second Maccabees, chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. All right, everybody there say con? Second Maccabees, chapter 6, verses 1 through 2. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of the Most High.
Sounds familiar? Go ahead.
Verse 2. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and that in Garisium of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place.
Okay. So not long after this, the king sent an old man to Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not live after the laws of God, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter, Olympius, and then that in Garzium, the Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. Remember last week, we was talking about Jupiter. That's Zeus. They took the Most High's temple and named it after Jupiter, a fallen god, an angel, Zeus. But what did they call it? Olympus. Where we get the Olympics from. Got a little quick article for you. You want to read? Yeah. This is from the Encyclopedia Britannica about Olympics, fair use for education and religious purposes only.
All right. So it starts off the Olympic Games, athletic festival that originated in ancient Greece and was revived in the late 19th century. Before the 1970s, the games were officially limited to competitors with amateur status. But in the 1980s, many events were open to professional athletes. Currently, the games are open to all, even the top professional athletes in basketball and football, soccer. The ancient Olympic Games included several of the sports that are now part of the Summer Games program, which at times has included events in as many as 32 different sports. In 1924, the Winter Games were sanctioned for winter sports. The Olympic Games have come to be regarded as the world's foremost sports competition.
Go to the next page. The ancient Olympic Games. Go ahead.
Just how far back in history organized athletic contests were held remains a matter of debate, but it is reasonably certain that they occurred in Greece almost 3,000 years ago. However, ancient in origin, by the end of the 6th century BCE, at least 4 Greek sporting festivals, sometimes called classical games, had achieved a major importance. The Olympic Games held at Olympia, the Pythian Games at Delphi, the Nemean Games at Nemea, and the Isthmian Games held near Corinth. Later, familiar festivals were held in nearly 150 cities as far afield as Rome, Naples, Odysseus, Antioch, and Alexandria. All of the games held throughout Greece, the Olympic Games were the most famous, held every 4 years between August 6th and September 19th. They occupied such an important place in Greek history that in late antiquity, historians measured time by the interval between them. And Olympiad, the Olympic Games, like almost all Greek games, were an intrinsic part of religious festival.
Religious what?
Religious festival.
Religious festival. Go ahead.
They were held in honor of Zeus at Olympia by the city-state of Elis, the northwestern Peloponnese.
So they were held to who? To
To
Zeus.
Zeus.
And we're still doing the Olympics today. It doesn't change. They just make it, oh, it's all fun. Have a great time, run around the track. Let's go.
The first Olympic champion listed in the records was Corbius of Elis, a cook who won the sprint race in 776 BCE. Notions that the Olympics began much earlier than 776 BCE are found in myth, not historical evidence. According to one legend, for example, the games were founded by Hercules, son of Zeus, and Alcmene. Competition and status. In the meeting in 776 BCE, there was apparently only one event, a foot race that covered one length of the track at Olympia, but other events were added over the ensuing decades. The race, known as the Stade, was about 192 meters, 210 yards long. The word Stade also came to refer to the track on which the race was held and is the origin of the modern English word stadium. In 724 BCE, a two-length race, the Dialos, roughly similar to the 400-meter race, was included.
So the stave is the stadium. We got plenty of stadiums around here, don't we? Go ahead.
And 4 years later, the Dolcios, a long-distance race possibly comparable to the modern 1,500 or 5,000-meter events, was added. Wrestling and the pentathlon were introduced in 708 BCE. The latter was an all-around competition consisting of 5 events: the long jump, the javelin throw, the discus throw, a foot race, and wrestling. Boxing was introduced in 788 BCE, and chariot racing 8 years later. In 648 BCE, the pancratium, from Greek pankration, a kind of no holds barred combat. Knuckles bared combat was included. This brutal contest combined wrestling, boxing, and street fighting. Kicking and hitting a downed opponent were allowed. Only biting and gouging, thrusting a finger or thumb into an opponent's eye were forbidden. Between 632 and 616 BCE, events for boys were introduced, and from time to time, further events were added, including a foot race in which athletes ran in partial armor and contests for heralds.
No, you go to no. You see where it says about the Romans? Yeah, the demise of the Olympics.
Okay. All right, this is the demise of the Olympics. Greece lost its independence to Rome in the middle of the 2nd century BCE, and support for the competitions at Olympia and elsewhere fell off considerably during the next century. The Romans looked on athletics with contempt. To strip naked and compete in public was degrading in their eyes.
Is what? To strip naked. That's what they were brought into Jerusalem. That's what they brought into Israel. Building coliseums, running around the track naked. Wrestling naked. Fighting naked. Go ahead.
The Romans realized the political value of the Greek festivals. However, and Emperor Augustus staged games for Greek athletes in a temporary wooden stadium erected near the Circus Maximus in Rome and instituted major new athletic festivals in Italy. And in Greece, Emperor Nero was also a keen patron of the festivals in Greece, but he disgraced himself and the Olympic Games when he entered a chariot race, fell off his vehicle, and then declared himself the winner anyway.
Okay, that's good. So as you see, Rome said, well, we'll clean it up a little bit. We'll keep the games. We just won't run around here naked. But now, it's too late. They brought it to Israel. They brought it to us. And now we're going to pick up. We're going to go back to Second Maccabees chapter 6, verse 3, and I'll touch that point a little later. Second Maccabees 6 and 3. And this is a further explanation of First Maccabees chapter 1. It's more in depth about what happened. Go ahead.
Anybody there say con? Second Maccabees chapter 6, verses 3 through 7. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places. And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful.
Okay, so this is what they're doing in the temple now. The coming in of the mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot, revelings by the Gentiles, who daily with harlots. They committed whoredom in the temple of God. Fornication in the temple of God. They made it a harlot house. And you'll read about that. You'll read something like that in Revelations. Babylon, the mother of harlots. It's a harlot house. Go ahead.
Oh, one thing. What's one of the main thing America is known for? It's pornography. It's harlotry. That's what America is known for, in other countries as well. Because everywhere you turn, if you look into Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what's another one? Snapchat, that's all you see. That's what America is known for. All right, verse 5. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts or fast, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. And in the day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the fast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus, carrying ivy.
Let me read that one again. Okay. If you was here last week, or if you watched the lesson from last week, you'll be able to pick this up. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. Right now, we can't profess that we are Israelites. Man, y'all ain't Israel. Y'all not those people. Y'all can't be the chosen people.
The law wasn't passed down to y'all. If y'all were the people, y'all would have been had the law, not knowing that, hey, I'm gonna have y'all forget y'all inheritance.
Yeah.
I will have y'all forget y'all heritage.
And it says, in the day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifice. And when they fast to Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. What was one of the gods of Mardi Gras? Bacchus. He was the god of Mardi Gras. The Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. What is procession? It's like a parade. So they were celebrating Mardi Gras back in Greek time. That's where the Mardi Gras parade started at. Remember last week we was talking about Jupiter? We was talking about Bacchus. What was the other one? Mercury. Mm-hmm. All those parades are dealing with those gods. We went through it last week. They're all dealing with a different god. And it started right here in Greece with the Grecians. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery. For there were two women brought, and who had circumcised their children, whom when they had openly led round about the city, the babes handing at their breasts, they cast them down headlong from the wall.
They hung them. Go ahead.
And others that had run together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered by Philip, were all burnt together, because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day.
Of the honor of the what day?
Most sacred day.
The most sacred day. But they're telling you not to keep the Sabbath. Rome and Greece. Rome and Greece. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation. For it is a token of his great goodness, when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. For not as with other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbeareth to punish, till they be come to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us.
So when the Most High deals with Israel, he deals with them with other nations. When we sin, he will send another nation against us. But those other nations would take it to a whole new level. Oh, we'll enslave you. We'll give you the Bible. We will enslave you, but we're not going to follow the law about slavery of the Bible. So they took it to a whole different level. They took advantage of us. If we keep you out the law, if we keep you in sin, we will always be the head. Next verse.
Let me unloop.
Now we're going to go to, hold on, let me touch on verse 14. For not as with other nations whom the Lord patiently forbears to punish till they become to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us. So their fullness, remember that word fullness. Let's go to Luke chapter 21 and hold Maccabees because we're going right back to Maccabees. But Luke chapter 21, 23, and 24.
The book of Luke, chapter 21, 23, and 24. You there, say Con? The book of Luke, chapter 21, verses 23 through 24. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon his people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Till the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Till their sin, till Christ, when Christ comes back, that's when the time of the Gentiles will be fulfilled. The times of the Gentiles. The black hat and the white hat. They're in that land right now. Christ hasn't come back. They're there. They got the whole world deceived. Rome. Rome. The Vatican. Rome. Same thing. As swift as the eagle flies. They got the whole world thinking that it's them. While we've been scattered throughout the whole world. We've been duped. We were duped. We were deceived. And what comes with Rome? The church. And what came out of Rome? In Sunday worship. You can break God's law. Let's go to Psalms 93. This is not in the lesson, but we're going to go to Psalms 93. Is it 93 or 63?
I think it might be 83.
Or 83?
Let me see 83. It might be 83.
The tabernacles of Eden.
Okay. You're right here.
Yeah, Psalms 83. I'm sorry. Psalms 83.
We're gonna get 1 through 5.
Yep.
All right. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verses 1 through 5. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace. It be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. And they have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. You want me to read who it was?
Yep.
Verse 6 and 7. The tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre.
All right. Back to this picture. Edom, Rome, in the white. Amalek, in the black. Both come from Esau. Both come from Edom. Look at them. Smiling and chuckling. Having a grand old time. Why? Oh, we got them good. We done duped the world, and we done duped God's people. Where are we going? Back to
Second Ezra 6.
So now we're going back to 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 7. We're going to Esdras, not Maccabees. 2 Esdras chapter 6, and we're going to read 7 through 9.
Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth?
Remember, the disciples asked Christ the same thing. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
So Esau is the end of the world. They're the last empire. They're the last kingdom. Rome is it. After Christ comes, Christ destroys that. Go ahead. Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 15. And we'll read through verse 26.
Everybody there say con. Second Maccabees, chapter 6, verses 15 through 26. Least that, being come to the height of sin, afterwards he should take vengeance of us, and therefore he never withdrawed his mercy from us. And though he punished with adversity, yet doth he never forsake his people.
So he punished with adversity, right? Lead us not in temptation. Go ahead.
Verse 17. But let this that we at spoken be for a warning unto us. And now will we come to the declaring of the matter in a few words. Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man, and of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination.
He didn't want that blot. Remember, we break the law, we get a blot. We start getting our names blotted out the book. Go ahead.
Spit it forth, and came of his own accord to the torment, as it behoved them to come, that are resolute to stand out against such things, as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted. But they that had the charge of that wicked feast, for the old acquaintance that they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king.
Okay, so now we got this one guy. Now he's saying, "Well, I won't eat the flesh. I won't eat the swine at the feast. I'll just bring my own food." Right? Go ahead.
Verse 22. That in so doing he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. But he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age, and the excellency of his ancient years, and the honor of his gray head, whereon was come, and his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by the Most High. Therefore he answered accordingly, and willed them straightways to send him to the grave. For it becometh not our age, said he, in any wise to dissemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being 80 were now gone to a strange religion. And so they, through mine hypocrisy and desire to live a little time and a moment longer, should be deceived by me, and I get a stain on mine old age and make it abominable.
So what he decided to do, right? He didn't want another Israelite to see him thinking, "Oh, Eleazar is breaking the law. Now let me break the law." So he didn't become a stumbling block to his other brothers and sisters. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 26. For though of the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead.
So what did Christ say? Let's go to Matthew 10 and 28.
Hold that.
Hold that, Maccabees. We're going to go right back to it. Because it says, for time I should be delivered from the punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead. Matthew 10 and 28.
Matthew 10 and 28. Everybody there say Con? The book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 28. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell.
Now you understand what that brother was meaning. I'd rather stand up for the law and not sin than face God. I'd rather keep the law and lose my body rather than keep my body and lose my soul. That's why they want you to sin. These are Satan's ministers. They keep us in sin. They want the whole world in sin. Why? Because the world has been given over to the hands of the wicked. Satan knows his fate. But do we know ours? Let's go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 6. Pick up at verse 27.
Picking back up at 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verses 27 through 31. Wherefore now, manfully changing his life, I will shew myself such and one as mine age requireth, and leave a notable example to such as be young to die, willingly and courageously, for the honorable and holy laws. And when he had said these words, immediately he went to the torment. They that led him, changing the good, will they bear him a little before into hatred, because the said speeches proceeded, as they thought, from a desperate mind. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, It is manifest unto the Lord that hath the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in body by being beaten, but in soul am well content to suffer these things, because I fear him. And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of a noble courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation.
Unto all of Israel. He did that for an example, to show us an example, how we have to be, how we have to stand up for the law. Why? Because we're coming into a time. We're coming into a time, the mark of the beast time. And if you're not courageous and you accept that mark, there's no turning back from that. So that's why we have to prepare ourselves daily. We got to prepare, be ready for starvation. That's one of the tricks the Romans use. They will try to starve you out. They did it 4 years ago. They will take your livelihood. They will say, if you don't take this, you can't go to work. Yeah. That's how they work. That's how they operate. By taking things from you. And when that time comes, they're going to be just like the Maccabean woman. They're going to do us just like the Maccabean woman. They're going to have our children. They're going to have our family members. They're going to be trying to torture you. They're going to be trying to do all these things to you. That's why that guy said, this is an example. That brother said, this is an example. See what I'm going through? We got to stay focused on Christ. Think about what Christ went through for us. Y'all don't have to turn to it, but we're going to read 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and 7 again. And I'll read it. You don't have to do it. All right. It says, purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For For even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. I brought that scripture out again so we can start cleaning up our temple. That's dealing with Passover, but we're in the Feast of Dedication, rededicating our temple. And that starts with us cleaning up our temple, cleaning up the fornication, cleaning up the following of the false gods. Like I said, you watched that lesson last week. Is a very eye-opening lesson. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, that's all rooted in paganism. Every last one, from October 31st all the way to whenever Easter is all rooted in paganism. They even have their games. They got Thanksgiving coming up this week. What are they going to have? Football. The game to their gods. Then Christmas, another game to their gods. They got football and NBA on. Then January 1st, the games to Janus, the other god, the god of January. More football, basketball, all this different stuff. Then the Olympics. We're in that season. 'Tis the season. We're in that season. We're in that season of them celebrating their gods. And we can't fall for it. Okay? Today is the beginning of that purge. We must purge out fornication, uncleanness, and worshiping of other gods. The Greeks made us defile our temple through force. The Romans did it through force and deceit. Now we willingly go after other gods. We willingly eat unclean foods. We willingly commit fornication. Why? Because we don't want to hear the truth. The Roman Catholic Church told us that the law was done away with. By using a few scriptures in the Bible, if you go through the cleanse, I'm sorry. The Roman Catholic Church told us that the law was done away with. They are the mother of harlots. They started it. Everything stems from them. If you go throughout our videos, this whole season when we started cleaning up God's temple, if you watch those videos, you will get the full understanding of this whole lesson. We're going to close with Psalms 119, verse 142 through 144. Psalms 119, verse 142 through 144.
Everybody there say Con? The book of Psalms, chapter 119, verses 142 through 144. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Trouble and anguish have taken hold on me, yet thy commandments are my delights. The righteousness of thy testimonies is everlasting. Give me understanding, and I shall live.
Give me understanding, and I shall live. That's all I have for you today. We are the Brothers of Feed My Flock Church. Like us on Facebook. Visit our website at feedmyflockchurch.org. And if you like to donate, you can donate from our YouTube page in the description. That's all I have for you today. keep the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Happy Feast of Dedication. We shall get into our feast.
All right.
All right. We'll pray out.
Uh-huh.